Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Pranzata Podcast. This is your host, Andrea Pranzatelli. This is episode number 67 on my podcast series on YouTube. I have the return of Albert Davis. He has been here before. He was a very loved, and I'm not just saying this to stroke your ego. You were a very loved guest on this podcast. A lot of people was like, I really liked that episode with
Really?
Al. They loved it.
I did not. I had no idea.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
My boyfriend, he's sleeping right now for some reason. He went to bed early. He was like, oh, that guy's coming over. I can't wait to see me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No kidding.
So,
I did not. I have no idea.
He's asleep. So he's back, and we're going to ask him more questions just to fill everybody in about who he is in case you didn't see that episode. He is a comedian and an actor and a model. The last time I had interviewed him, we focused a lot on comedy questions. So I'm actually going to be asking him more modeling questions today because I'm like, you know what? I didn't even ask him anything about his modeling career.
Nothing about my great career as a model.
So
jeez.
My first question for you is, how did modeling start for you? Did you actively pursue becoming a model, or was somebody like, "Hey, you're a good-looking guy. Just would you like to model?" How did this all start?
I'll answer that in a few different ways. So,
yeah.
I guess how I got here. I was at an open mic doing comedy one time, and this person, a very pretty woman, approached me and said, "You know, have you ever thought of being a model?" So, at that point, to answer the question, in my lifetime, this is going to sound so horrible, but I've been asked that before. Like, do you want to be a model? Have you ever considered being a model?
Yeah.
And usually, like in my history of the world, someone would say that, and then he'd be like, "Okay, so you just give me like $700, and then you'll be like," it's like usually like a rub, you know what I mean? Like someone's trying to get over. So I've always been like, no. And at that point in my life, I was like, you know, if you want, it's all inner monologue. It's happened within the matter of like 3 seconds, but like, if you want different looks from the world, if you want different avenues, if you want a different story, you got to start saying yes and exploring things that you don't do normally. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, what do I have to do? And then she like gave me information and connected me with at the time the woman who was her agent, and we got on the phone. Sent some pictures over. She said, "I really like you." I sent some more pictures. Then like a week later, I was shooting a commercial for Tullamore Dew, which is a whiskey company. Yeah. And it just went from there. That's
awesome. So it was kind of like you've been asked, and then it took you some twist, like you decided one day just to go for it.
Yeah. Because
why did you turn it down in the past?
Because it's always been like someone wants some money from me. You know what I mean? They're like, "Oh, you could be a model." And they're like, "Okay, well, what I got to do?" And like, "Well, you sign here, and then it's going to be $400." And this, it was always
in the past, you thought it was a bunch of bullshit.
Like a scam, yeah.
Okay, so sorry, we had to do a little audio check for a second, but we're back to it. So tell me again, why did you turned it down? Because you thought that it seemed like a scam at first, like people were like trying to fish you into this promising career.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I feel like the few times prior when I like really kind of entertained it, they always wanted me to be giving them money, and then you gotta sign this, and you gotta sign up for this, and then that's a platinum package if you want us to do.
Did eventually it pay off? Like, did it eventually becoming a point in these modeling gigs that you didn't have to pay in, that you actually started?
Like I don't pay in anything. Now,
okay. My next question for you, it kind of goes into this like naturally. Can somebody make a living? Like, obviously if you're like modeling for Vogue or something, you can make a living doing this, but somebody who's just like a local person doing these gigs, can they make a living doing this, or is it really just part-time work?
Unless you're like, you know, what is that, who's Tom Brady's wife, what the fuck is her name, Giselle?
That's what I mean, like somebody
like
who's on like a Victoria's Secret level. It's like a different story.
You can have a career, you know, like for me it's not a full-time career. I have to have other employment to pay the bills consistently. But I work, you know, 3 or 4 times a month, which is pretty good, I think, you know, given the state of the world and I guess where I am financially. So I like it. I enjoy that. But it is, you would have to really get on with a big-time agency in the right city. Yeah. And extreme popularity would be your best friend. So
how do you get your gigs doing this? Do you look up?
Well, I have an agent.
Okay.
I have a couple of agents. So I have people who funnel me things, say, hey, you want to do this, you want to do that, audition for this, audition for that. And they get a little percentage of the thing. They get a little bit of money, but they get you the work. So yeah. Dude, I guess comedians do have agents. I was like, I wish comedians had agents, but I guess they do, actually. Yeah. The thing is that for every agent, for every person working for you, they cost money. You
Yeah.
know? So you get like a paycheck that's supposed to be this amount, but then you got to give percent, and it's like, oh, it's a little less than I thought. But
But then it's like at the same time, well, then what else would you do? You'd be like spending your whole time advertising, you know what I mean, for yourself. So it's like they're getting you the work. So I guess, but
you balance it out because there are times when I work for myself. You know, what I mean? There's times when I'm doing stuff, or someone may email me directly something. They maybe saw me on Instagram, or I don't know, found a way to get in touch with me. They kind of go like around the agent. And then they start talking to you, but I usually loop my agent in anyway. But yeah, you work for yourself.
I wonder how many agents kind of take advantage of that situation too. Like, I wonder how many are not being honest, like about the pay. You know,
probably a lot of them. I think that you'll hear that all the time, right? Like your favorite Mike Tyson or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I thought I was really rich, but someone, I think Dane Cook's brother, comedian, he was taking money from him. He was like his business manager or whatever. So. Yeah. It happens. I'm sure it happens more than it doesn't, or just as much as it doesn't.
That's something I'm thinking about because I work for myself completely. Like I'm working basically 80 hours a week. Like I have my own business, podcasting, musician. I'm doing it all at once. And I'm like, once I start making enough money to pay somebody, I do want an assistant, like a podcasting assistant.
Oh, yeah.
And I started thinking about the financial things about that. I'm like, I'm not there yet. Like, so I don't have to worry about it necessarily at the moment. But when it does happen, I'm just like, okay, I have to find out what's the normal rate as far as splitting with a producer. It's like, do we split this 50-50 because you're producing it? Who gets more of the money? Is it 60-40? How do I trust them with the money, like if they're the ones taking care of the funds? You know
I would
what I
say
mean?
you always be your own bookkeeper, right?
Yeah.
Always be in charge of the finances.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like the technology world, I don't know like what gets you what and what do you have to pay for what, you know what I mean? Like I don't get it, but I would say be the bookkeeper of your own shit, because
I would imagine if I had a producer, they would be like literally I had to pause the episode and be like, I have to fix the audio. They would be there doing that for me. So they'd do that. And I think they would edit the video and they'd do a lot of promotional stuff. So they'd be like that type of person. But then I would have to be the one doing all the creative stuff, like writing the comedy skits. You know what I mean? So it's like, who gets more? You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Well, like they do like, Google something in the middle of your you go, well, wait, how many people live in Indonesia? And then next thing you know, it's like, 3.6 million. You know what I mean? I think it's more than 3.6 million, but you know what I mean? And then, in Philadelphia, Neil Wood does a really good job with the podcast.
Yeah.
You should check him out. Yeah. He's solid. Has a nice studio. He does the producing, and, we did an episode. We were shooting something last week, and someone asked something, and next thing you know, it was up on the screen.
He's got a producer and everything like that.
He is a producer right now. Yeah. He's doing it. He runs the whole studio, but he does a really good job.
That the last guest I had last week, who he actually brought you up, and he mentioned another podcaster, Drew Montana. He said that. He said that he was a really good podcaster in Philadelphia.
Drew and Naeem are like really, really good. They're Durag and Deer Tag.
Yeah, I've heard it. It's really good, so I want to check it out.
It's good. They're very funny gentlemen, but they're really good at the podcast game.
Yeah,
really
so I invited them to this podcast too.
Are they coming?
Yep. So
they're cool dudes. I like them a lot.
Yeah. Okay, my next question for you. One more modeling question, then we're going to move on. Okay, for some idiot like me who's not a professional model, I'm out there on the Instagram showing my goods and my face and everything. It takes me a long time to get, like, those photos I put on Instagram are my best photos. It takes me a long fucking time to get a good photo. Is that normal, like, for models as well? Is there any skill?
No,
are there any
cameras
tricks?
They get 60 fucking pictures in the blink of an eye.
Are there any skills or tricks that we idiots should know about how to look better in pictures? Because I'm not photogenic.
Yeah, don't look directly at the camera.
Okay.
I think that's a good one. Don't look unless you're going for like this real, like, this like Magnum blue steel kind of, I think not looking directly at the camera, and the framing. Framing's big. And then what you do with your arms and your hands.
Yeah. No, I'm even if I was
triangles are good.
Even if I was the hottest woman in the world, I don't think I could be a good model because I'm so awkward about that. Like, people will be like, smile. I'll be like, I don't know. I have no idea.
You want to like create these angles with your body, and they say usually like a triangle. So like this would be a triangle. this is like a triangle.
So how did you learn?
Like
Because someone was just like, hey, want to be a model. How did you learn that stuff? They taught you as you went?
People talk to people. Yeah. You just kind of learn it as you go. You start talking to people, or or a photographer will say, hey, here's what we're going to do. You know, shift your weight so your weight's one way or the other. That gives you like a little bit of sass, you know, when you stand.
Do you do like mental visualizations when they're like, okay, look sexy? Do you like think about something sexy?
No, I just kind of look how I look. Like, I'm not the most popular male model in the world. There are guys out there who are probably like, yeah, this dude's not that fucking good. You know, I'm on the cover. You know, I'm a Tom Ford model. This guy's, you know, not that. So there's, you know, different schools of thought and styles of doing things. I think that I like classic looks. Yeah. You know, even for like men, whatever it is, like I just like look at the camera, give a little bit of a
he does a great job. Check him out on Instagram. I'll put a link to his Instagram below. He looks great in his pictures, and I'm just like, is it just a gift? Like because I look my sister, she's a photographer, and she takes my pictures for me for my promotional stuff, and we go through so many pictures, and I only like 10 of them.
Yeah, that's normal. So, that's normal. Like if you take 100 pictures, you're gonna get like 2 out of them.
I have some
that are worth keeping,
but ugly angles. Like I have some really ugly angles.
Or like someone's talking, you're like, what? And they take the picture, and you got like that fucked up face. Yeah. Because you're like turning your head and talking. They just, you know, but they take a lot of pictures, and then, you know, God bless those photographers. They got to go through all that.
Yeah, they have to go through and pick their favorite ones. Yeah,
or like a wedding photographer. I know it's a little different.
Yeah,
they're taking pictures of all these drunk people talking to each other, laughing, dancing, and most of them they're just delete, and then they give you like 60 really good ones.
All right, thank God it's not just me.
No, it's not just
like
you.
I always feel so bad. Like, why do I look so ugly in some pictures? What the fuck? Like, am I just ugly? Like, you know what I mean?
No, you're not ugly.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. No, so yeah, I just wanted to know about that because like I was just like, damn, maybe I need to learn some like tricks and skills. Like if I'm going to be promoting myself and being on. The worst is I'm a musician and I'm a very emotional musician, which I think is a good thing, but it doesn't translate well to photos. Like so when people try to take like live band shots of me, like it looks like I'm taking a shit.
Yeah,
like I'm like
closed, like it's like
it looks horrible. So
well, even like when you see like an Instagram model.
Yeah.
They post a picture. That's like 4 hours out of their day. They're not just like, oh,
always
hey, I woke. You know, they're like, I woke up like that. Bullshit. You did not wake up like that. You put on makeup. You airbrushed it. You took about 90 photos. You got. It's a lot. A lot goes into it. Yeah, a lot goes into it. So.
I had interviewed somebody on this podcast once. That was. Without giving too much information, she was basically like a cam model.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, do you make a lot of money doing that? And I'm not going to break down her income, but after she explained everything she did in a day, I'm like, that's actually not even like worth it.
Yeah.
Like as a woman, you would think like, oh, just sell your goods and you'll make quick cash. It's like, no, it's a devotion. Like you have to do your makeup, do your hair, find camera angles, do all this. And it's like, it's not just a quick, like if you're looking for a quick cash, be a prostitute. Like that's how you're going to get it.
That's better.
If you want to like put content out there like that, it's not quick cash.
And isn't she like answering to people's like beck and call?
Yeah.
Right? Like some guy's like, hey, take that apple and do something with that apple.
Exactly. So it's like,
gotta go to the kitchen, get a fucking apple, come back with the fucking
like it's a job. Yeah, like it's like that's not easy work. Like that's actually a job, you know?
Yeah, and like the demand is probably pretty like because people, if someone's paying for it, they probably feel like I want it now. Like why do I have to wait, or you know?
Yeah. So so I would imagine it would be similar for modeling. Yeah. Like that's what made me think of that for some reason. Okay, on to the next question. I do have a comedy question for you because I put something on Instagram. If anybody has a question for you, so somebody wanted to know.
Somebody asked a question.
Somebody asked you a question.
Okay.
I just put it up a few hours ago, so I didn't get a ton, but I got one question.
All right,
it's from Paul Giovanni, fellow musician. He was in this basement jamming with us a few months ago. Great guitar player. He wants to know, how do you handle people becoming offended at your jokes?
Oh, wow. What a great fucking question. What's it? Paul Giovanni?
Paul Giovanni.
Paul Giovanni, the ex-player from How He's a Good Guitar Player?
Yeah, he's a good player. Yep.
Good. Very nice. How do you handle it? That's their problem. That's your cross to bear. Like if that offends you, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Now, I don't really have over-the-top offensive stuff, but I guess it depends. Maybe it depends on who you ask. Someone's always going to be offended. But someone once told me that not everything has to, in a comedy show, not everything has to be laughs. So if they're laughing and then you get them to go ooh and like pull back a little bit, you're kind of like emotionally like fucking with them a little bit, and that's a good thing because it brings you through like an array of emotions. So I was told like if you offend someone, who gives a shit? And they're going to go down a little bit, and you're going to say something funny a little bit later, and you're going to bring them back up. As far as people being offended, people find something to be offended about with anything. You live here, you know what it is. People get so fucking offended. Whatever. I just kind of feel like whatever. Maybe I'm not for you. You know what I mean?
I think I struggle with that. I think I actually like am overly sensitive about the possibility of like I'm super jealous of your attitude. Like I wish I could just be like fuck it. You know what I mean?
I know.
I'm overly sensitive about that type of thing.
I'm acting like a tough guy. I worry about that when I'm writing a joke. I go, oh, that may be kind of tough to put in there. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, that may rub some people the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like I don't even say I won't even say rape. Okay. I won't even say that on stage.
Okay.
Unless I'm saying rape is a horrible thing and yada yada. Just because it's such a polarizing word that for most people once they hear it, some people go, oh, and then
I was just talking about on the last podcast how I have a rape joke that offended a lot of people.
Yeah, people. It's great. Well, you know what's weird about? Okay, first of all, it's a horrible thing. Yeah. Right. I think most people agree with 99% of the world agree. But we'll talk about killing someone or murder. Yeah. Very like willy nilly. Oh, murder, you killed it. But that's
if
very,
a woman,
very.
But if a woman was now here's a good conversation. If a woman was raped and her way of dealing with it is finding humor in it.
Right.
I mean, I guess the crowd doesn't want to laugh because it's like too dangerous for them to laugh or something like that. But do you know Miss Pat? Have you ever heard of Miss Pat? She's a comedian.
No,
she laughs
Mary
at
Pat or something?
Yeah. She's a female comedian, and she's had a really rough life, and she finds a way to joke about that stuff, and they love it. It's the way she carries it and stuff like that, the way she explains it. She's like, this is my comedy, this is how I deal, this is like my therapy, like I deal with all my struggles through. I mean, she has jokes on stage about how she got shot in the head, like all kinds of stuff, but she somehow, the way she says it is so fucking funny.
Well, I think that's why race jokes are always going to exist. Racism jokes have always existed. Mm-hmm. And it's usually by the person who's experienced the racism, right? Yeah. Very rarely does a white guy go up there and start picking at racism, because it's very different for them, But like, in the black community, racism jokes have been around forever because it is a source of pain. Yeah. It's also extremely irrational, if you ask me. I think it's very irrational to just feel racism like that. Yeah. And to make light of it, you laugh at it and you point out how stupid it is, and then you point out how sometimes it's right though, and you just have fun with it because it's like, what the fuck are you gonna do? And I think my dad loves that about comedy. He loves that like people can take things that will make people kind of and then have them laughing about it at the end. You know what I mean? But that's like the psychology of laughter. That's like the manipulation, the part that takes place of comedy.
Do you know Ari Shaffir? Like he had his. I
don't know him, but I know.
Know of him is what I meant. The whole Kanye West issue, mm-hmm. like the thing where like racism against, Ari Shaffir is Jewish, and he did a bit I saw on YouTube, like a clip of it on YouTube, and he was just like, I gotta say I'm Jewish. He goes, Kanye had a couple good points. He was like, Kanye had a couple good points, and I just thought that was so funny, the way, like, because he is Jewish, like he felt like he could say that, you know what I mean? But the way he said it was just so fucking funny.
Well, so one thing that I experienced, I don't even know if you know this about me. I am Jewish. Do you know that?
No.
You know that? Yeah. See, I'm Jewish. Right. So I'm Jewish and I'm black. I'm black and Jewish.
Black Jew.
Yes. Right.
So
this Kanye thing really just confuses me, if anything. I don't know what side to take. But like, I'll even say that because I have jokes about Jewish people. Yeah. And I'll say that, and I'll make it abundantly clear, and still people will clam up because I don't think they believe me. Yeah. I don't think they go, yeah, that guy's definitely Jewish. Now some people are like, I can see it. It's usually other Jewish people like, I can see it, you're Jewish. But like some people who don't know, they're like, is this guy like allowed to say this? Is this like a hate thing going on? And it's very weird because they think that like you get a pass to talk about certain things. Sometimes they don't think I really
they think you just like
they think I'm just making this thing up, but they can fuck off too because I'm going to say the joke. I also don't make jokes that aren't kind of real life or really apply to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I won't make a joke out of something totally out of left field just to make people laugh. So
like you're not going to just joke about trans just because.
Just cause, right. Now, if I had a conversation with a trans person and that'd be different. But yeah, I'm not just going to be like, trans people. Blah, blah. So, and I do that way. If one of the reasons is because there's authenticity in what you've gone through. The other thing is like if someone ever were to call you on it, you could be like, well, that's a truth that really happened. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You're offended by it, but the guy said this, the guy did that, and the guy showed me his dick. Oh, I don't know what else. What are you upset for? You know what I mean? That's a real thing. So to answer his question, I just kind of feel like, you're telling a joke. You're telling a joke. Some people are going to be offended. Some people are going to laugh. It's probably going to be about 60-40.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe 70-30. And you just keep on going. You'll win them with the next one.
I also think any person that wants to become successful in something, they're going to get people that don't like them. Like, I think
100%.
There's just no way you can possibly avoid that. And then if you try to, it's so funny. I was talking about this with my other guest. The question I asked him, and we can talk about this right now. I can just like revisit the question, which the answer is obvious. Is it better if you say a joke that's offensive to your audience, to most of your audience?
Okay.
Is it better to develop the act and find a way that the people who like the joke will flock to you, so you have a niche audience of people who like your joke? Or is it better to alter the joke so that it's more applicable to the public as a whole? Like, to me, it's almost like if I related that to music, it's kind of like, well, everybody likes this pop song, but only some people like this band. It's like, for comedians, it's like, what do you think is the better route to take? Find your niche audience or try to appeal to a wider range of people? Great
question. Yeah. So if someone says, hey, Albert, we're going to do a show at Lower Merion Country Club. We'd love for you to come and tell jokes.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk in there and I'm not going to be like, hey, you wanted Albert Davis, you're getting Albert Davis. And I'm going to give them like the country club jokes.
Yes.
Now, if I was, Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., and you knew what you were getting, then I'm giving you what you're paid for. You know what I mean? Because like if you ask Andrew Dice Clay to do a country club,
he's
not going to go in there and be like, don't you like when you're playing tennis? And no, he's going to be like, hey, fucking, he's going to be doing his thing. So for me at my level, I would probably cater a bit to win the audience over.
Yeah.
Once I get to a certain point, I'm going to give them the Albert Davis act, and you're either going to love it or hate it.
How would you describe your act? Like, what's your style?
I think it's got some left turns in there, a little dry stuff, life stuff, kind of. I don't really like to pick on people. So I think maybe the person I pick on the most is maybe myself.
Yeah, self-depreciative.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a self-depreciative comedian.
Yeah, and just kind of, funny, kind of goofy, maybe a little bit of wordplay, silly. You really got to just relax, though, because some shit's going to take you for a ride. If you're too tight, you're going to be like, I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'm not for everybody.
Okay. So, all right, next question. All right, so I saw you about a year ago, I want to say. It's been a while. Has it been a year since
I think it's been a year. It was cold, right?
Yeah,
it was cold.
It was cold. It maybe like a little less than a year, but roughly a year.
Yeah, in New Jersey.
Yeah, January. I think I saw you in January. It was around Super Bowl. It was
which is next month.
Yeah, so okay. So
we're coming up with the anniversary.
So we're good.
I think that's Tom Zappia's show.
Yeah.
In Asbury. I think that Tom Zappia was running that room. Sunken Ships, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's Tom Zappia, and he runs it with someone else. I haven't seen Tom in a while.
Yeah.
Good guy. Shout out to Tom Zappia.
Okay, so the last time I saw you, I was at a point in my life where I felt like I was reaching a plateau of like growth spiritually, where I was like stuck. And I've learned a lot. Nice. Like I'm in a better place now. So good. I want to know where you're at. And has there been, I'm trying to phrase this question so it makes sense. Has there been anything that you have learned in your life recently that has been like, holy shit, like I'm just figuring this out now. Like I wish I knew this my whole life.
What a good question.
Yeah, because I feel like there's been a couple of things like that in my life right now. So I kind of want to know if there's anything like that you're going through as well.
Yeah. Well, so I guess it'd be like reflective, right? So something I've always kind of dealt with in my life is worrying what other people think about me.
Okay.
And it affecting my self-esteem.
Okay.
And then you get to a certain point where you realize that not that many people give them any fucks about what you're doing. And even if they do, who gives a fuck? Keep on being you.
Yeah. That's
probably the most growth I've continued to have probably over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
So just kind of realizing that like, who cares? Who the fuck cares? Like who?
Like it just hit you.
Like who cares? Like who cares what you think? I know it's really weird because it's a model and a comedian and he's trying to do these things that require a level of approval.
Yeah.
But it's also like, have them approve who you authentically are. Don't have them approve of this thing you're trying to be.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been like kind of a graph. If it was a graph, it'd kind of go like a, up and down all the way. But that's what I've been struggling with probably for maybe 7 years or so, just realizing like you don't have to worry what other people think about you.
Gotcha.
And that's
it just like finally clicked for you.
Yeah, like who the fuck cares? I think someone even told me, it's like probably a family member, my sister, my dad. It's probably like, yo, you're one of the, I know for a fact it was my sister. She's like, you're one of the fucking coolest people that I've ever met. She's like, and I'm not just saying that. She's like, and everyone who meets you thinks you're really fucking cool.
Yeah, everybody on the podcast, they were like, oh, when's he coming back? Yeah, like, they all loved it.
And I'm very shocked by that, and thank you very much. And so she's like, so whatever you're like worried about, why are you worried about it? You know what I mean? Like fucking relax and go do what you got to do.
It's funny. I remember myself realizing once that, cause I get I'm very neurotic. Like I get in my own head. Like when you came here, I'm like, is this too feminine? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm very like always worried about things. I'm a very neurotic person. And, I remember realizing once, that you would think like if you're the type of person who worries about other things, you would think that you're like a sensitive person, like you're compassionate. But I finally realized it's actually very narcissistic to worry what other people are thinking because it's
you
like
think you're so important.
because you think you're so important. You're
that makes
like
perfect sense.
You're like they're mad at me. Are they mad at me? It's like you're not that important to them, honey. Like you're like
they got rent to pay.
Yeah.
They got food to eat. They got a schedule to keep. Their boyfriend or girlfriend may have just dumped them. They may have just found out they got someone pregnant. They might find out their grandma was sick, and you think it's about you.
Yeah, like you might trick yourself to thinking you're this caring person, but it's like you're actually very selfish. Like everybody is in their own world. Doing their own thing.
People are walking past you on the street not giving a fuck who you are.
Yeah.
They have no idea to worry what you're wearing, what you smell like, what you look like, who you're standing next to, and here you are thinking that they give a fuck.
Yeah, it dawned on me one day. I was like, wow, I'm actually a very selfish person. Like I think everybody cares about me.
That's a really interesting way to put it. It's like you think everybody in here is thinking what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, the fuck they're not. Because and I guess as you get older, you realize we all got our own fucking problems.
Yeah, which I think is what I like about comedy, because comedians have a way of like oversharing sometimes. But it's I think for me it is like a coping mechanism with that neurotic side of me that's always like, what is this person this? What is it? So for me it's like kind of soothing just to like vomit all my flaws out to the world, like just be like, I'm this piece of shit, like, you know what I mean?
Well, doesn't your humor lie in that?
Yeah.
Right. I feel like I think it's very good to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And especially if you're trying to build a relationship with the person, right? Like if you and I really wanted to have a good relationship, one of the best things I could do is tell you something that opens me up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I think because that's when you're at your realest, you know what I mean? Like when the guard is down. And I think within that is so much humor with like the self-dialogue you have and what you think people think about you and what that says about what maybe you think about other people and when you're high, when you're low, and your weakest points. And that there's a lot of humor in that. You know what I mean? So I think that's good. I think it's good. And I think that's why people do that, is because if you try to do it from this fake voice, it's fake.
Yeah.
It's just fake.
Yeah.
If you do it from this authentic voice, people can feel like the highs and the lows and the laughter in it. If that makes any sense.
I can usually tell, like, if I watch different YouTubers and stuff like that, I can tell if their message that they're trying to give is authentic based on the tone of their voice sometimes. Like some people, like if they're like, hello, like if they have this kind of like fake nice people, I can't stand like fake nice people.
Right. I also can't stand fake mean people who are trying, like, hey, if you want to fucking make it happen, you get up off your lazy fucking ass and you go out and do it. Because I feel like that's like a different. It's the polar opposite of what you just described.
Are you a fan of David Goggins? How do you feel about that? Do you know who he is?
I know who he is.
He kind of looks like
people tell me I look like him. Yes.
I was gonna say that. I'm like, is this offensive to say?
It's not offensive at all.
Like I don't know, because I'm white. I don't know the rules. Like, are you allowed to tell a black person they look like? First of all, he's like a light skinned black man, and he's like
nice-shaped bald
athletic.
Head.
He's got a bald head. He's athletic.
Yeah.
He has. I don't know if you are familiar with his work. I have his books like on the bookshelf. I like him. He is that tough love guy. What do you think about that?
I think his tough love is more authentic than other people's tough love.
Yeah.
And I think his tough love comes with a documented story that says, this is how I did it, and this is how it worked, and this is what I was, and this is what I am. I think there's people out there who just are like going out for this whole shock value of like, get up off your fucking ass, run 9 miles, and then you're gonna fucking, you know. And it's like, dude, that's not necessarily the realest thing either.
Yeah.
But you're trying to sell it. It's almost like a WWE personality. Like you're trying to sell it as this tough guy, go get it, knock down all walls, and that may not necessarily be how you did it or who you really are either.
Yeah. I think in the case of David Goggins, you're like you said, it's his authentic way.
Yeah.
Like he literally came from a horrible background where based on where he came from, you would never think he had a chance. Like he had like one of the most traumatic, heartbreaking childhoods you could ever imagine, and he suffered a lot and didn't believe in himself, and he literally had to, the way he explains it, he's like, I had to create me. He's like, I had to
rewire him, because it wasn't like eating himself to death. It was very heavy.
Yes.
He had to like rewire his thinking and all that stuff, and then in turn he does amazing like physical feats of like mental toughness and pain. I actually knew somebody who went to, I think it's called Bud School, where the SEALs go.
Yes, I've heard him.
And Goggins was the guy.
Yeah, I've heard him talking about that. Yeah.
And he was like the guy that he had to like keep up with Goggins on the run.
Really?
Yeah.
You know somebody who did it?
Well, he ended up breaking his ankle and couldn't finish,
no.
but Goggins was his guy. So I think like guys like that are good. I think someone like that is good.
It's a little different, yeah.
It's a little different, but when it's like, you know, you're such a. I was thinking about this thing today, in the shower. I had this deep thought, but like. People will go on the internet and say anything for a like button, right? A lot of people will. And I was thinking, like, the same person who told us like 2 or 3 years ago, know your worth and then double it, right? You've heard people say that. Mm-hmm. Are the same people now who are calling America lazy because they don't want to go back to the workforce that was taking advantage of them.
Yeah.
You know? And if you think about that, it's like, yeah. And then you realize that most of the people on the internet giving you advice about go out and are those people who said something else and said something else and said something else, and then it's like, you guys just want my money too. Yeah. Like the Liver King, you know who the Liver King is? Yeah. Like, okay, so you just wanted our money, and okay, cool. So you stand for nothing.
Like it's like phony self-help type of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
To, like, get your attention.
It's like selling the snake oil. You know what I mean? I think the world is full of the snake oil. So I think finding like one person that you can follow or believe in. It's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, I have a couple of people I follow, these days.
But you know yourself pretty well, right? Like there's days when you wake up and you're like, I'm being too lazy, right? And there's days when you wake up and you're like, I've earned the right to be lazy.
Yeah.
Right? Or there's days when you're like, I wanted that set to go better and I know what I could have done better and I just mailed it in and I kind of fucked myself.
Yeah.
You know? Like you don't need someone to necessarily always be telling you, do this, do that. Like a lot of us, if you've been talking to yourself for the past 30 some years, you know what it is.
Yeah.
Right? That's how I feel. Like I've been talking to myself for a long time. At this point, like I know when it's my fault. I know when it's out of my control. Yeah. I know when I could have done more, and I know when I'm being a piece of shit. So for
me, it's like whenever I'm not doing my best or like succeed. I don't know. Like however you want to put it. Whenever I'm not getting at it, whenever I'm not hustling,
right.
For me, it's usually like mental health stuff. Like that's the stuff that I deal with is, like I have a very strong, I'm a very ambitious person. I want to get at it.
Right.
And then I do struggle with like a lot of mental, like negative talk. And sometimes I'll be in the middle, this is like real. Like there'll be times in my life where I'll be in the middle of a workout and certain thoughts from the past or traumas from the past will come up in my head and I'll start crying and like leave the workout early. Like shit like that happens to me.
That's serious. Psychological warfare. I call it psychological warfare. And if you've dealt with it like growing up, maybe a parent, a brother, a sister, an ex, a professor, a mentor, if they've psychologically beat you down enough, that's worse than physical abuse.
Yeah.
Because we lied to ourselves for years and said sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. Yeah. That's just as false as Santa Claus. Yeah. Sticks and stones will break your bones and they'll fucking heal and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Those words can stick with you for 30-something years and have you mentally paralyzed and stunt your growth.
Yeah.
So don't ever tell your kids sticks and stones will break my bones, words will never harm me. The words are way more hurtful and have way more of a long-lasting effect than the sticks and stones. Because I've been there. I've been talking to sometimes I'll be like, why are you talking to you like this?
Yeah.
Like, what? I'll be like, why are you talking to me like that? I'll be talking to myself, I'm like, why are you talking to me like this?
Yeah.
Like, nothing positive is going to, you wouldn't talk to another human being like that.
Yeah.
So
I think what happens is like, I've been reading a lot about the human brain lately, like about neuroscience and stuff like that. And like you were saying, like going back to the thought of Goggins, like him having to rewire his brain. I think children are very adaptable. Like they're constantly learning, it's constantly growing. As you get older, I think the neural pathways, they call them, the neural pathways get implanted in your brain, and you like that's where addiction comes from. So how do I explain this? Because I'm not like a scientist or a doctor, so I'm trying to explain like what I've been reading is like, okay, let's say I go to Dunkin' Donuts, and then let's just say one day I went to Dunkin' Donuts and I bought a coffee, and on that same day I had a donut. And let's say for some reason I remember that as a good experience. Now every time I see Dunkin' Donuts, my mind automatically thinks donut. Yeah. Like so now before you know it, it's a neural pathway.
That's
it's
Pavlov.
Like something something that happened in your brain that was like kind of implanted as like, okay, now every time I think about that, my mind goes down this trail, the next thing, and it becomes so subconscious that you sometimes can't notice it. So before you know it, you're like, why am I eating like 20 donuts a day? Because you smelled coffee in the morning and you said it like it triggered one thing. So I think that's the thing with trauma is like, if you've had a negative experience in your childhood, a neural pathway is built where you deal with it. You have a certain way of coping with it, and you can be 35 years old, and if something triggers the thought of what happened in your childhood, it could just completely throw you off balance.
Oh, you can be 75 years old and still deal with it. I've seen it. I can see it in my dad. Yeah. My dad is a phenomenal dude. I love him to death. I'm named after him. Yeah. We hang out, we play golf, we laugh, we joke. Sometimes he tries to help me write jokes. But I can see the things that haunt him, and I can see them come up. I can see the look on his face. I can see him thinking about, and I'm like, oh, that you something just triggered you, and now this chain of events is going on
in your head,
and then you'll see a change in his behavior, and it's like, holy shit, you never hem that up, and you struggle with that.
And it, like, I guess what I'm getting at is the older you get, the harder it is. To
reverse
change.
It.
And like, I'm at a point in my life right now where I know the things now. Like I would say about 2-3 years ago, when these things happened, I wasn't even aware of it. Like I had no idea what was happening. Like I'm like, why am I chain smoking? Why am I, why am I destroying my life? Why am I doing all these things? I have no idea. And then as of lately, like I catch myself doing them, but I catch myself 1 second too late before I already reacted.
Okay. But you talk to yourself.
Yes.
All day long.
Oh, God, yes.
Running dialogue all day long.
Oh, God.
I thought that all human beings did that. Do all human beings do that? Do we know?
I think so. Like I said, I'm neurotic. Like I do. Yeah.
I think that it's good to talk to yourself and be in tune with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's how you can grow. Yeah. If you just think things are happening because they're happening, then you probably won't grow. But like if you're going, if you would have woke up earlier, you wouldn't be stuck in this traffic. Yeah. Oh yeah, if you would have went to bed early. Oh yeah, if you would have brought your water, you wouldn't be hungry right now. Like these little things that you're in tune with yourself. I thought everyone did that, but maybe they don't. I don't know.
I don't think they do. I think it's kind of, have you ever heard of the Westworld, the HBO TV series Westworld?
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. It's over now, right?
It's over. So Westworld, I loved the show. It was on HBO like 5 years ago. It's been a while, but I think there's only 2 seasons. But it was a show about robots who were man-made that eventually became conscious.
Okay.
And in their conscious awakening, they decided to take control of their lives. And I like that show because I think humans are the same way.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of dumb. Like we're kind of like we were saying about those neural pathways. Those neural pathways are created and we just do these dumb habits like robots. And I think growth comes from waking up and being aware of your habits and actively changing them.
Yeah.
And it's just
you're
like,
right. And to be in touch, you have to talk. You have to be talking to yourself.
You almost have to be a different person. Like you have to be outside yourself watching.
You have to be the patient and the doctor.
Yes.
And maybe even someone watching the session.
Yeah.
And taking notes on it. You have to be like 3 different things. I saw this thing. So I play golf. Tiger Woods. Everybody knows Tiger Woods is probably the best golfer of all time, depending on who you ask. So he was like the best golfer in the world for many, many years. Yeah. And he was still making adjustments to his swing, which is really insane, right? Like you just kicked everyone's ass and you're trying to perfect it and do it even better.
Yeah. If
you know anything about golf, when you start changing your swing, like shit can go really, really bad. You can, and there's a period of time where he wasn't playing all that well, but people close to him said they would play golf with Tiger, and they never once heard Tiger Woods talk badly to himself.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that, like, wow, here this guy is the best, like the best. You know what I mean? Not just kind of good, not just a hobbyist, the best.
Yeah.
Falling from grace, for not even on the social part, just like the physical part, and still is not telling himself he's stupid, you're a dummy, you're an idiot. Why would you? None of that stuff he's saying to himself. He's just saying, okay, I have the next shot. All right, this is what I got, and I'm going to take the next shot.
he's doing, like, he's truly in the moment, because that's what being in the moment is. Being in the moment is being like, okay, what's this next moment going to bring? What could I do in this next moment? Not like us dumb idiots, like, you know what I mean? We're like, see,
there you go.
I'm doing it.
There you go. Call yourself dumb idiot. But that's what Mamba. You know, so Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Yeah. Mamba mentality. Yeah. People throw that shit around way too willy-nilly. I don't know if that's the word. Willy-nilly, like, I don't know. Willy-nilly Nelson. But like Mamba mentality is like being mentally tough to not tell yourself you suck. You're not a piece of shit. You're not a failure. You're not a loser. You just found another way that it doesn't work. And now you're going to go back and try it the next way. You know what I mean? And like, there's people like that. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Kobe Bryant, you know, most of us are not able to get ourselves to that. David Goggins. Yeah. Most of ourselves are not able to get ourselves to that level. Yeah. You know, but it starts with how you feel about yourself, how you talk to yourself, and like how you care for yourself and your mental being. I mean, that's a big deal. Yeah. Do you sleep well?
On and off. I have periods of insomnia.
Oh my
and
gosh,
then I have periods of like deep sleep. So right now I'm coming out of an insomnia period and I'm going into like a deep sleep period.
Okay.
So I'm doing well.
So you're happy during the deep sleep and it's tough during the insomnia?
Yes. Yes.
You sleep on your stomach or your back?
Side.
What
about you?
Stomach. I get horrible sciatica pain.
Do you have it like every day?
No, I'll go like 3 weeks, 3 months without it, and then I'll go like 5 days straight, like can't walk. Yeah. So then I started sleeping on my back. Then I started using a wedge. So now my legs are up, my knees are up in the air, like I'm at the OBGYN's office. But I've been sleeping, when I sleep on my back, it's a deeper sleep. Yeah. And I'm waking up pain free, but I think that's because I'm, manipulating my legs.
I wish I could sleep on my back because I actually have scoliosis, so I have like a lot of back issues.
Oh man.
So I've tried so hard to train myself to sleep on my back, and I love sleeping on my side. It's very like, it's like being in the fetal position. It's very like comforting.
You put the pillow between your legs?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a big, I love that. Like I need something on my butt. Like I need to be like in the fucking womb. Like,
why don't you don't get the weighted comforter? You didn't get that?
I don't have a weighted comforter, but I have like literally three comforters on my bed. Like,
if you put 4 comforters, they weigh much as one heavy comforter.
Yeah.
I wrap tight and bundle. Yeah. Like when I sleep, like I want to be cozy and warm.
Me too.
And I think that may be a sign of like anxiety.
Yeah.
I think that I know, like with dogs, they make those things that wrap the dog up. Yeah. Those little sweaters and shit.
Yeah.
It's supposed to help them with their anxiety. Maybe that's a human thing.
Yeah. No, I'm very big on like I love baths. I love a hot bath. Huge on the hot bath because it's like that same feeling of just being like totally. Yeah. Okay, so that's what you learned this year was not to care what people think anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm still learning it, but yes.
Yeah.
That's my journey.
The thing that I learned this year, like, cause like I had this like epiphany lately, and that's why I was like, well, I wonder what epiphany he had. Like, so I can learn, like, I get a shortcut to another epiphany. Right. My epiphany was that no one can really. Well, it's not gonna sound right when I say it because it's not 100% true, but no one can really heal you except you.